Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Trumpet's Call. I'm AmarYaH. I pray that you are holding on to faith, amunah, and holding on to hope, tekuah, during these times. Thank you for joining me once again on the channel and for another teaching. In today's teaching, we're going to be talking about the burden of the Most High Yahuah against idolatrous Yashar'al. Now, this lesson is a hard lesson, and there are some hard sayings in it, but it needs to be spoken, we need to hear it, and we need to respond accordingly. So as you listen to this message today, I pray that you will take all of these things to Abba, and that you will ask him, in what way am I not giving you all of my heart? In what way am I committing spiritual idolatry? What am I putting ahead of you? What am I leaning toward? How am I leaning unto my own understanding? And as you go to Abba with these things and express your heart to him, I believe that if you are sincere, he will hear you and he will help you. But the decision is his. I began a series called Journey Through Jeremiah. I believe it was sometime in 2024. It could have been late 2023. And I have been so busy. Abba has had me in many different books of the scriptures, and Journey Through Jeremiah has been neglected, unfortunately. But, we do what Abba tells us to do when he wants us to do it. So I've only done Jeremiah chapter 1. So today I'm going to be going through Jeremiah chapter 2, and Abba had me wait on doing Jeremiah chapter 2 because he knew that it needed to be aligned with this message that he's giving me for today. And so his timing is he is just brilliant. And so I give him thanks and praise. So we're going to be having the second of our journey through Jeremiah. So I've organized this lesson into two sections. The first section, we're going to be talking about the harlot Yashar'al. And then the second section, we're going to be talking about the case, or what the scripture refers to as a burden against Yashar'al by the Most High Yahuah. So we're going to begin in the book of Jeremiah, or AmarYaH. Jeremiah chapter 2. Moreover, the word or the debar of Yahuah came to me, saying, Go and cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith Yahuah, I remember you, the kindness of your youth, the love of your betrothal, when you went after me in the wilderness, in a land not sown. Yashar'al was kadashness, or holiness, to Yahuah, the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him will offend. Disaster will come upon them, says Yahuah. So this is the beginning of our lesson on today, and I would be remiss if I did not begin this lesson with prayer. So join me as we go before the Most High Yahuah. Yahuah, I give you thanks and praise for this yom that you have created for us, and you have placed us in this day. Our obligation, our responsibility, our delight, and our privilege is to be worshipers of the Most High Yahuah. I pray that as we receive this message that you have for us today, that we will receive with open hearts and open minds, and that your word would penetrate, and your word would remove what needs to be removed, activate what needs to be activated, allow to remain what must remain. I pray that you will do your work in us, Father, as you are the potter and we are the clay in your hands. Do all of your will, Father, in our lives and in our hearts. Let us be completely and wholly devoted unto you. Please guide me in this lesson today. Guide every word, I pray. In Yahushua's name, Aman. Halal Yahuah. So we have a debar of the Most High Yahuah coming to Jeremiah, or AmarYaH. So typically in the scriptures, when we see the debar of Yahuah came to me, saying, typically this is an appearance of the Malak of Yahuah, Yahushua HaMashiach. And so the bar, or the word of Yahuah, came saying, He's giving instructions. Go and cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, thus to Yahuah, thus saith Yahuah, I remember you. Okay, we could stop there and just rejoice in that, because the Father is telling those in Jerusalem, capital city of the southern kingdom, I remember you. The southern kingdom of Yehuda or Judah. I remember you, the kindness of your youth. I remember the love of your betrothal when you went after me in the wilderness. I remember when I came to Egypt and I rescued you. I remember how you were toward me. I remember how you loved me. I remember how you were so appreciative of being set free from Egyptian bondage. We were good together then. It was a wonderful time. So it's as if the Father is reminiscing. He's reminiscing about a time that he experienced with our ancestors. He said, Yashar'al was holiness unto Yahuah, meaning set apart for me. It was all about me and the first fruits of his increase. She was bearing fruit. She was the first fruit of the Most High's increase. Out of all the nations of the earth, this is the one he chose to be his first fruits. All that devour him will offend, and disaster will come upon them. At this time, anyone who tried to come against the Most High's heritage, they would offend the Most High Yahuah, and he would fight against them himself. Disaster would come upon them. So we see here the word of Yahuah, the Malach of Yahuah, comes to AmarYahu with the Father's reminiscing about the time that he had with us as a nation. But he's referring specifically here to the southern kingdom, as the southern kingdom is the only one still in covenant relationship with the Most High at this time. He goes on to say, hear the word of Yahuah, O house of Yaakov, and all the families of the house of Yashar'al. Thus saith Yahuah, what iniquity, what injustice have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me and have followed idols and have become idolaters. Neither did they say, where is Yahuah, who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, who led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts? I'm going to pause here. The Most High reminisced about his nation, and then he said, what iniquity, what injustice have your fathers found in me? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong that you have left me and are now following after idols and have become idolaters? What did I do? I was a good husband to you. I was a good father to you. What did I do? What uncleanness did you find in me that caused you to leave me and go and worship another? Now, of course, this is a rhetorical question because there is no answer to this question. There is no uncleanness, nor injustice, nor iniquity that can be found in the Most High Yahuah. He is perfect in all of his ways, and everything he does is good. The fault was with our ancestors and not with the Most High. He says, neither did they say, where is Yahuah? Remember Yahuah, who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim and led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts? Where is he? Where has he gone? Why have we not interacted with him lately? Where is he? They're not asking after him. He says that led us through a land of deserts and pits, through a land of drought and the shadow of death, through a land that no one crossed and where no one dwelt. I brought you into a bountiful country to eat its fruits and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The priests did not say, where is Yahuah? And those who handle the law did not know me. How can you handle the law correctly, the Torah correctly, if you don't know the Torah giver? The rulers also transgressed against me. So this is Yahuah. He's being very relational here as he is having this conversation with AmarYahu to go and then cry out to Jerusalem, asking these questions. positing these questions before the leaders and before the people. Why have you not asked after me? Haven't you noticed that I've been silently watching your idolatry? Why don't you ask after me? What have I done to lead you to go find another Aluah? What have I done? I brought you out of slavery. I brought you into my good land, and you defiled it. Now, that's saying a lot, because the land of Canaan, when our ancestors entered it, was already defiled. We had all manner of people living in that land, a lot of the ites, and they were doing abominable things and living in abominable ways. So much so that when the Father came in, a large portion of everything that they saw had to be destroyed, right? And so they came in, and the Father said, "You defiled my land." He goes on to say, "The prophets prophesy by Baal and walked after things that do not profit. Therefore, I will yet bring charges against you, says Yahuah, and against your children's children will I bring charges." So if the Father's going to bring charges against them, this is an indication that he's creating a case against the Most High's heritage, Yashar'al, so that he may then, after he brings charges, bring his judgment. "For pass beyond the coast of Cyprus and see. Send to Kedar and consider diligently, and see if there has been such a thing. Has a nation changed its Elohim, which are not Elohim?" Now, this is a really brilliant question that the Most High is asking. He's saying, go anywhere in the world where people worship quote unquote deities. Do people drop their deities and start worshiping another? Go to Cyprus, go to Kedar, and see if you can determine whether or not they have stopped worshiping their mighty ones and adopted a new one. You won't find it. Not until Christianity, that is. But that's another story for another day. "Yet I will bring charges against you, says Yahuah, and against your children's children I bring charges." So the charges that the Most High brings are an indication of what our ancestors have done wrong and what the judgment is going to be. But it's not just against them, it's against their children's children. So sin not only separates, and sin not only divides, and sin not only brings judgment, but it brings it against the third and the fourth generation. On the screen here, you have an image of just four nations. You see Japan, you see the US, India, and Iran. And here are just some of the GODs or mighty ones associated with these nations. Okay. It's not very likely that you're going to see someone who's a Muslim trade in Allah for some other deity. But Yahuah says that his people did. His people said, you know what? Even though our Aluah has been faithful to us, he has provided for us, he gave us a good land, he brought us out of slavery, he showed himself mighty and strong on our behalf. Yeah, they think, okay, well, yeah, maybe we're in the market for a new Aluah. And they traded him over for another model that wasn't even worth their time. According to him, Elohim, there weren't even Elohim. But my people have changed their glory, their kabod, for what does not profit. Be astonished, O heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be very desolate, says Yahuah, for my people have committed two evils. Two. The first one, they have forsaken me. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. That was the first evil. They forsook the fountain of living waters. The second evil, they had hewn for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that could hold no water. They forsook the fountain of living waters, the Most High Yahuah, who did everything for them. And then they hewn for themselves broken cisterns that could hold no water. So what are these broken cisterns? As you can see in this image or this video, you see water, the living waters of the Most High, bubbling up into everlasting life. Whenever they were thirsty, whenever they needed anything, they could come to the Father and receive from Him bountifully because the waters never ran dry. They're living waters. They're not stagnant, dead pools of water. They're living waters that comes from the Most High Yahuah. This is what is indicative of what He's saying here. This is what they opted for. Broken cisterns that can hold no water. They traded this for that. Is Yashar'al a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he plundered? The young lions roared at him and growled. They made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. Also, the peoples of Noph or Cairo and Tapanes or Memphis have broken the crown of your head. Have you not brought this on yourself? In that you have forsaken Yahuah, your Aluah, when he led you in the way? The Most High is asking a question here. Is Yashar'al just a servant? Is that all he is? Was he meant to be a servant? Was he meant to serve others? Is he just a home-born slave? Is he just a home boy hanging on the street, busting a sag? Is that all he is? Is that what he was meant to be? Imprisoned, disenfranchised, overlooked, a black man in a ball gown? Is that all he's meant to be? Why is he plundered? Why is he plundered? Why has all of his resources been taken away from him? The young lions roared at him. The young lions here being Babylon. They roared at him. They growled and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. What happened? We know what happened. We were told what happened. We were told right here, my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Water is life-giving. So if you've got broken cisterns, you've got no life. You end up being exactly what the Most High is describing on this page: a servant, a homeborn slave, plundered, waste. But Yahuah said, Memphis broke the crown of your head, meaning your king has been taken captive. What's happened to your land? What's happened to your autonomy? It's gone, but you brought this on yourself because you forsook me when I led you in the way. I led you in the paths of righteousness, and you said, nah, I'm good. I think the path of death is for me. That's what we told the Most High. That's what our ancestors told him. In what ways are we doing this? In what ways are we turning from life and from light and turning to darkness? Please examine as you listen. So the crown was broken. The kingship was broken as the king was taken captive into Babylon. And our ancestors had no land, no homeland anymore. And the land that the Most High had granted to them, that good land of milk and honey, lay waste, desolate. Continuing. And now why take the road to Egypt to drink the waters of Sihor? Or why take the road to Assyria to drink the waters of the Parath or the Euphrates? In the scriptures, the river is called the Euphrates River, but the word Euphrates is not in the text. It is something that was created and manufactured by somebody. The word in the scriptures in the Hebrew is the Parath. The Parath River, which is also called the Great River. Your own wickedness will correct you, and your backslidings will rebuke you. Know therefore and see that it is an evil and bitter thing that you have forsaken Yahuah, your Aluah, and the fear of me is not in you. The Yarah, the fear, the respect, the reverence of the Most High Yahuah, our Father, was not in them, says Yahuah, Aluah of hosts. For of old, I have broken your yoke and burst your bonds. And you said, I will not transgress, when on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down playing the harlot. This is almost too much, but we must read it. But because this is what our ancestors did, and we are their children. So the tendencies are within us, and we have to fight tooth and nail not to become what they became. You could think about our lives and the Most High is them coming out of Egypt and us coming into the awakening. We came into the awakening full of hope and promise. Oh, our eyes were bright and brimming with tears. We were so happy that we were somebody, that we weren't the nothing that we had always been told that we were. We were so happy that we were somebody's special person, that we were chosen, that we had all these promises and a covenant. Oh, my word, a covenant, that we meant something to the Most High Yahuah. And we were going to be rescued and taken out of harm's way and protected and kept. And we were going to have 1,000-year millennial reign with the Most High's Son. And he was going to be our master and king. And the more we read the scriptures, the more we saw ourselves in it. And we were so happy and overjoyed. And we promised, now that I know that I'm a Hebrew, I'm not going to make those same mistakes that I made before, or that our ancestors made. I will not do those things. They promised. They said, I will not transgress. But they lied. When on every high hill and under every green tree, they laid down, playing the harlot. Will we? Do we? Do we play the harlot? What are our idols of choice? You really have to really examine yourself, family. You have to be honest with yourself, because Abba sees and he knows what is your idol of choice. Continuing. Yet I had planted you a noble vine, a seed of highest quality. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of an alien vine? For though you wash yourself with lye and use much soap, yet your iniquity is marked before me, says Yahuah Aluah. How can you say, I am not polluted? I have not gone after the Baals. See your way in the valley. Know what you have done. You are a swift dromedary breaking loose in her ways, a wild donkey used in the wilderness that sniffs at the wind in her desire. In the time of her mating, who can turn her away? This is language here. The Father is indicating something. He's saying, you think you're clean. You think you're okay, but you're not. How did you become a degenerate plant before me when I created you as a choice vine? How? How can you say that I'm good? I'm not polluted. I'm not unclean. I've not gone after the false deities. When you are like a camel, he's essentially saying you are like a camel in a heat and like a wild donkey when she's looking to mate. This is what he's saying. When a camel, a female camel, is desirous of mating, it goes around doing all kinds of strange actions. But this wild camel goes around sniffing, looking, making certain noises, sticking out its tongue and making these gestures indicating that it's ready to mate. And so this is the way the Most High is describing or comparing our people to the dromedary in heat. In the same way, he's describing our ancestors to a donkey in heat. going around, female donkeys, looking to mate with someone, anyone. The Most High doesn't lie. And if he described it that way, that had to have been how it was. He goes on to say, all those who seek her will not weary themselves. In her mouth they will find her. Withhold your foot from being unshod and your throat from thirst. But you said, there's no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them I will go. As the thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Yashar'al ashamed. They and their kings and their princes and their priests and their prophets, saying to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise, O Yahuah, and save us. Hallelujah. So at the beginning of this passage, those who are seeking a camel or a donkey who is in heat will not have to weary themselves trying to find her. She will find them. She will seek them out. This is how the Most High is comparing Yashar'al, the nation of Yashar'al, to this donkey and this camel. So the Most High judges our ancestors, and their feet are unshod, and their throats thirst. And they say, oh, there's no hope. There's no hope. I guess they're just going to have to experience the judgments of the Most High, because why? They love strangers, and after them they will go. Seeking after, mating with the other nations, engaging in idolatry, they act as if it's something they can't control. But the Most High says in verse 26, as the thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Yashar'al ashamed, not because you did what you did, but only because you were caught. That's what you're ashamed of. You were caught. So the Most High goes on to say, he's creating a case here against his heritage, his people. He's creating a case, a stinging indictment against a people that he rescued for his own purposes, entered into covenant with for his own purposes, to be his own special possession, to represent his character in the earth. But what do? They say to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. Turning their backs on the Most High and not giving them their faces. But in the time of trouble, they say, come and rescue us. Come and rescue us. But the Most High answers and says, where are your Elohim that you have made for yourselves? You know, the stone that you said created you, and the tree that you said was your father. Where are they? Where are they? Let them arise if they can, and save you in the time of your trouble. For according to the number of your cities are your Elohim, O Yehudah. Why will you plead with me? You all have transgressed against me, says Yahuah. In vain I have chastened your children. They received no correction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yahuah. Have I been a wilderness to Yashar'al, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say? And I'm going to continue that in just a second. So the Most High begins this passage. Where are your Elohim that you made for yourself? Where are they? Let them get up. Let them arise if they can, and save you in the time of your trouble. So the Most High is telling us just how vast idolatry was among our nation. He says, for according to the number of your cities are your Elohim. If you, let's say, for instance, they had 30 cities, he's saying, you've got 30 Elohim. For as many cities as you have, that's how many false deities you're worshiping. So why plead with me? You all transgress against me, he says. In vain I have chastised you. In vain he has chastened them. They won't listen. They won't learn. They won't receive correction. Your sword, he's saying, not the sword of war, their sword, because whenever the Most High would send a prophet in to speak truth to power, they would wind up dead because our ancestors didn't like truth being spoken to them. They did not want to feel ashamed of themselves. They didn't want to stop doing what they were doing, so they would kill the prophets. But the Most High says, have I been a wilderness to you? Have I been dry and barren to you? Have I been like a land of darkness where there is no light? Have I been that to you? Of course he hasn't. He says, then why do my people say, we are Adonim, we are lords? They are masters of their own fate. They are captains of their own ships. They're their own bosses. We will come no more to you, they say. We are Adonim. We don't need to come to you anymore, they say. But the Most High says, can a virgin forget her ornaments or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Days without number. Why do you beautify your way to seek love? Therefore, you have also taught the wicked women your ways. Also on your skirts is found the blood of the lives of the poor innocents. I have not found it by secret search, but plainly on all these things. Can a virgin forget her ornaments or bride her attire? There's certain things, there's certain attire, there's certain accoutrement that a virgin or a bride has. Would a bride show up without being properly dressed for the event? Not likely. What about a virgin? Would she not wear those things that indicate that she is a virgin? Not very likely. Oh, but Yashar'al has forgotten her maker days without number. But instead, she goes and she beautifies herself on her way to seek love. She is like a camel in heat. She's looking for another Elohim to worship. So she beautifies herself to make that false deity pleased. As a matter of fact, the Most High is saying that she's so good at doing this that she has taught wicked women how to be a temptress and how to seek after wickedness. That's how good she is. And on her skirts is found the blood of the lives of the poor innocents. This is an indication of our ancestors sacrificing their children to the Baal, to the Moloch, having their children burned in the fire. In addition to that, it's likely referencing the fact that when the prophets were sent to our ancestors, they would kill the innocent prophets. And so the blood of those deaths are on the skirts of the nation. They're guilty. They're guilty before the Most High. And so we come into the awakening and we're happy that we know who we are. We're happy that we have a covenant. We're happy that we're the chosen people. And we are happy to take on all of those really wonderful designations about who we are. But we don't quite 100% want to adopt that this is what our ancestors did. These are the things that they did. These are the ways that they sinned against the Most High time and time and time again. They did these things, and we were punished as a result of their sins, but we're not innocent. We're not innocent. In what ways, brothers and sisters, do you beautify yourself to seek after those that bring you pleasure, to seek after those things that bring you pleasure? What effort do you go to in order to bring yourself pleasure through means that's not the Most High? From where do you derive your sense of joy? Is it from Abba or is it from a television show? What television series do you not miss ever? What song is still your jam? In what ways are you still conformed to this world? These are questions to ask. Because when the Most High does come to rescue the remnant seed of Yashar'al, he's not looking for those who look like their ancestors. He's looking for those who stand out, who have truly devoted their hearts, their minds, their souls, their bodies, their everything to him. He goes on to say, I have not found it by secret search, but plainly on all these things. He's saying here, the passage is saying here, I didn't have to go searching for it secretly, but it was plain. The things, the indictments that I'm making against you, it's an open sight. I didn't have to go digging for it. I didn't have to go and dig around as if you're trying to find a lost grave. No, the things that you have done and the ways in which you have sinned are open for all to see. They're not hidden in any way. Continuing, yet you say, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead my case against you, because you say I have not sinned. Why do you gad or flit about so much to change your way, meaning your allies? Also, you shall be as ashamed of Mitzrayim as you were ashamed of Ashur. Indeed, you will go forth from him with your hands on your head. For Yahuah has rejected your trusted allies, and you will not prosper by them. The Most High says, I'm pleading a case against you because you say, I have not sinned. If we confess our sins, if we confess our faults before him, he is faithful and just to forgive us of all our transgressions and iniquities and deliver us and forgive us from all evil. But we won't admit, at least we didn't then. I pray we do now. Why do you gad about? Why do you flit from flower to flower? Why do you go from ally to ally? Why do you go to the Egyptians? Oh, please save us. Why do you go to Ashur? Oh, please rescue us. Why do you go to Midian? Oh, please help us. Please help us fight this battle. Why do you flit from ally to ally? It's because you've forsaken your maker. And you're going to be as ashamed of Mitzrayim or Egypt as you were ashamed of Ashur, not coming to your rescue, not being strong enough to fight your battles for you. And you will go forth from the two of them, or the very least from Ashur, being captive, with your hands on your heads, walking as captives. For Yahuah has rejected your trusted allies, meaning they're not going to be successful on your behalf, for Yahuah has rejected them. You will not prosper by them. You're not going to find a workaround. You're not going to work around me, Yashar'al. You're not going to reject me and then think that you're going to prosper. I won't allow it to happen. This is what he's telling them. And this in and of itself is an act of mercy. It's an act of mercy. The best thing that we can hope for when we do wrong is to be chastened by a father who cares for us. It's a father who hates you, who just lets you do whatever you want to do. So this is an example of what we're just discussing. You see these soldiers here, they've been captured and they're walking with their hands on their heads. They're captives. And so this is what Abba was describing, as he was describing those who were putting their trust in Ashur, but they would leave that situation, that relationship, captive. So that was the end of AmarYaH chapter 2. But I did feel compelled to add AmarYaH chapter 3, verse 1. And the Most High says, they say, if a man divorces his wife, and she goes from him and becomes another man's, may he return unto her again? Would not that land be greatly polluted? Let's see what Torah says. In Devarim chapter 24, verses 1 through 4, it reads, when a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes,
because he has found some indecency in her. And he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out from his house. And she leaves his house and goes and becomes another man's wife. If the latter husband turns against her and writes her a certificate of divorce, puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband dies who took her to be his wife, then her former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her again to be his wife, since she has been defiled. She has been with another man. She's not allowed to then go back to the first husband. For that is an abomination before Yahuah, and you shall not bring sin on the land which Yahuah your Aluah gives you as an inheritance. So see how the father here is relaying this abomination of sin of a wife being divorced from the first husband, marrying another husband, and then going back to the first husband. He relates that as an abomination on the land. Okay. Going back to AmarYaH, chapter 3, verse 1. They say, if a man divorces his wife and she goes from him, becomes another man's, may he return unto her again? And the answer to that question would be no, not according to Torah. Would not the land be greatly polluted? Yes, according to Torah. But you have played the harlot with many lovers. This is what Abba says. You have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return to me, says Yahuah. Return to me. Return, O harlot, daughter of Yashar'al. Return. Even in our iniquity, he loves us. And it's inconceivable to me because I don't think there's a man here who would put up with what our father has put up with regard to us if they had a wife who was doing these things. But our father says, return to me. What love? It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable. Our Abba deserves our total and complete devotion, and we must have no other Elohim before him. None. We're going to continue. We're going to continue in the book of Ezekiel, the case against Yashar'al. Ezekiel chapter 20. It came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, on the 10th day of that month, that certain of the elders of Yashar'al came to inquire of Yahuah, and sat before me. Then the word of Yahuah, once again, when we see the word of Yahuah, the Debar of Yahuah, we see the Malak of Yahuah speaking on Abba's behalf, came to me saying, Son of man, speak to the elders of Yashar'al and say to them, Thus saith Yahuah Elohim, have you come to inquire of me? As I live, says Yahuah Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you. Will you judge them, son of man? Will you judge them? Then make known to them the abominations of their fathers. And it came to pass in the 7th year, the 5th month, the 10th day, the elders of Yashar'al came to inquire of Yahuah. Okay. And Yahuah says, have you come to inquire of me? Do you want me to hear you, hear your prayer, answer your prayer? Do you want something from me? And then he says, I will not be inquired of by you. Don't come to me. Don't pray to me. Don't ask me for anything. I will not be inquired of by you. And then he told Yahuah to judge them. Now, this is an instance when judging is appropriate. I'm going to be doing a lesson about judgment. And this is an example of the appropriate type of judgment. This judging others comes from the Most High. He says, make known to them the abomination of their fathers, which is what we just saw AmarYaH do. We saw him make known to those of Jerusalem the abominations of their fathers. So we're going to see him doing that. He says, say to them, thus saith Yahuah Elohim, on the day when I chose Yashar'al and raised my hand in an oath to the descendants of the house of Yaakov, and made myself known to them in the land of Mitzrayim, I raised my hand in an oath to them, saying, I am Yahuah, your Aluah. On that day, I raised my hand in an oath to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim into a land that I had searched out for them, flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands. Then I said to them, each of you throw away the abominations which are before your eyes. Pausing here. So we see the Most High telling us that he had sworn an oath. Now, to have an oath or a promise from the Most High is to have a certainty, because he cannot lie. He's not the Son of Man that he should repent. So if he raises his hand in an oath, it's a certainty and a surety. And he did exactly what he said he was going to do. And what he told them, he said in verse 7, I told you to throw away the abominations which are before your eyes, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuah your Aluah. But they rebelled against me and would not obey me. They did not all cast away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did they forsake the idols of Mitzrayim. Then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim. But I acted for my name's sake. Oh, Abba is protective of his name, for his name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles, among whom they were, in whose sight I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore, I made them go out of the land of Mitzrayim and brought them into the wilderness, and I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which, if a man does, he shall live by them. If we obey the Most High statutes, and if we obey his judgments, we will live. Moreover, I also gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between them and me, that they might know that I am Yahuah who sanctifies them. Yet the house of Yashar'al rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my statutes. They did not. They did not. They despised my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them, and they greatly defiled my Sabbaths. Then I said, I would pour out my fury on them in the wilderness to consume them. But I acted once again for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles, in whose sight I had brought them out. So I also raised my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands, because they despised my judgments. And indeed, they did not enter. Their children, 20 years and younger, entered, but they did not enter. I also raised my hand in an oath to those in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the Gentiles and disperse them throughout the countries, because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes, profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were fixed on their fathers' idols. And this right here, brothers and sisters, is an example of what I was telling you. The Father made sure that those whose eyes were affixed to the idols died out in the wilderness. They roamed the wilderness for 40 years and they died in the wilderness. Their children got to enter the land. But those children's eyes were fixed on their father's idols. We are the children of our ancestors. And sometimes our eyes can be fixed upon idols. Our ancestors were idolaters, family. Don't think for a second that it can't happen to you. Don't think for a second that you can't put other things ahead of the Most High Yahuah. Don't think that it can't happen. It can, and it does. It happens more often than you know. I'm going to give you an example. I have a purse. It's a Tory Burch purse. I bought it 10 years ago, probably. I bought it because I liked it. It was a crossbody. And I noticed the other day that some of the places on the where the leather is starting to get worn away and all that. And it's not looking brand new because it's old. I use it all the time. And so I was on eBay trying to find myself a replacement for my purse because I thought, well, I really like this purse and I want to keep it looking new. I don't want to carry an old looking purse, even though it still works just fine. It's not torn, it's not ripped, it's just got a little bit of worn in the leather. So I'm on eBay looking for the purse. I spend copious amounts of time looking for the purse. I can't find what I'm looking for because I don't know the name of the purse. Apparently, all the Tory Burch's purses have names. And I don't know what the name of it is because I didn't know anything about Tory Burch when I bought the purse because I don't care about that. I just bought the purse because I liked it. So apparently it's a designer purse. So I'm looking and looking and I can't find what I'm looking for. And so then I stop. A few days later, I have some time on my hands and I go, oh, so I go back to the search. This time I'm on Poshmark, looking on Poshmark for a Tory Burch purse that's kind of like what I have, has all the spaces that I need. And I sense Abba's frustration. I'm looking for the purse and I sense him in the background being annoyed with me. I sense this, right? But I'm looking and then Abba speaks and he says, you know, you're not going to find what you're looking for. So I said, well, let me stop wasting my time. So I X'd off the site and I just let it go. And I closed out all the windows and let it go. And I knew that this was an example of one of those things that we put ahead of the Most High. Is having a purse wrong? No. Is having a designer purse wrong? No. Seeking after, spending copious amounts of time trying to find just the right one is. It's not the best way to use our time. It's not. If we need something from the Most High, can't we go to him and say, Abba, you know, I have this purse and I've had it a long time and I'd like to get a replacement. What do you think about that? Probably 9 times out of 10, Abba's going to say, does the purse still work? Yes, it still functions. Then why you need to replace it, right? Purse doesn't need to be replaced. Or he'll say, let me take care of it. And he has the ability to help you to find what you're looking for like that without wasting your time looking for it. Our ancestors were always looking for the newest and latest model of the Tory Burch purse line. They weren't satisfied with what they had. They weren't satisfied with that which was faithful to them, that which had brought them out of the land of AmarYaH, that which still worked for them. They wanted the newest and latest model of idols. So they were always looking like a donkey and a dromedary in heat. They were always looking to satisfy their lusts and their passions. This is what it looks like, brothers and sisters. You need, and Abba told me to share it, even though it doesn't make me look good. It doesn't matter how I look. What matters is that you understand the ways in which we engage in idolatry on a daily basis. What are you putting ahead of Abba? How are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time? Time is a precious commodity. It's all we have, our time and our will, and they're linked because you use your will to spend your time. What are you spending your time on? That's going to show you where your heart is. Search yourselves. Our ancestors, their eyes were fixed upon idols. Their children were fixed upon their father's idols. We are the children of idolaters, and we must check ourselves daily to see where our eyes are fixed. Are our eyes fixed on the Most High Yahuah, or on silly Tory Burch purses or red bottom shoes or whatever it is that is the latest craze these days? What is it that has your attention, Yashar'al? What is it that has your attention? What can't you live without? So the Most High says, therefore, I gave them up to statutes that were not good and judgments by which they could not live. So what is he saying here? He gave them up to a reprobate mind. He let them do those things that were inconvenient. He let them have their way. He let them search and search and search and engage and search and fornicate and have adultery, have adulterous relationships. He let them do that. He let them believe that if they sacrificed their children in the fire to a false deity, that it would be good for them. He let them do what they will. And they did it. They did it. They sacrificed their own children. In that, they caused all their firstborn to pass through the fire, that I might make them desolate, and that they might know that I am Yahuah. Without the Most High on our side, where would we be? Well, without the Most High telling us what we're doing is wrong, we can't even know it, brothers and sisters. The heart is deceitfully and desperately wicked, and we can't even know the length, the breadth, the height, the depth of our wickedness if it were not for the Most High Yahuah. So in this case, he withdrew from them their ability to understand the foolishness of what they were doing. How many children died? How many children died because they thought that by sacrificing them, it would somehow gain them favor? Verse 27, therefore, son of man, speak to the house of Yashar'al and say to them, thus saith Yahuah Elohim, in this too, your fathers have blasphemed me by being unfaithful to me. Yahuah says, your fathers blasphemed by being unfaithful. Blasphemy. You know that unpardonable sin that we hear about, blaspheming against the Ruach? This is likely related. Blasphemy, being unfaithful. Idolatry, spiritual adultery is blasphemy. When I brought them into the land concerning which I had raised my hand in an oath to give them, and Abba keeps repeating this over and over and over again because he wants us to understand that he kept his word. He kept his word. He raised his hand in an oath that he promised that he would do certain things, and he did what he said he was going to do. And we promised, we said, our ancestors said, all that you have spoken, we will do. They did not keep their word, but Abba remains faithful. And they saw all the high hills and all the thick trees. There they offered their sacrifices and provoked me with their offerings. Thick trees, sacrifices, trees. There's still an affinity that our ancestors have for decorated trees. I mean, our current people, I shouldn't say our ancestors, but our ancestors had an affinity, and our people today still have an affinity for decorated trees. It's idolatry. It's idolatry before the Most High. And I pray that nobody here is still engaging in that nonsense. I pray. There, they also sent up their sweet aroma and poured out their drink offerings, their libations. A drink offering is called a libation. Then I said to them, what is this high place to which you go? So its name shall be called Bama to this day. Therefore, say to the house of Yashar'al, thus saith Yahuah Elohim, are you defiling yourselves in the manner of your fathers and committing harlotry according to their abominations? And so I say to you, are you defiling yourselves in the manner of your fathers and committing harlotry according to their abominations? If you don't know, ask Abba. He'll tell you. He'll show you. Verse 31. For when you offer your gifts and make your sons pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols, even to this day. In what way are we sacrificing our children on the altar of MOLOCH? How are we doing that today? There's nothing new under the sun. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven, and they pour out their drink offerings, their libations, to Elohim in order to spite me. These are the words of the Father in Jeremiah chapter 7. Also in Jeremiah chapter 19, verse 13. The houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Yehudah will be defiled like the place of Topheth because of all the houses on whose rooftops they burned sacrifices to the heavenly hosts and poured out drink offerings to other gods, other Elohim. The Father is stating quite a case against our ancestors. We are their children. Let us not for a second think that we are not capable of sinning in similar fashions. Continuing in Yahuah chapter 20. So, shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Yashar'al? As I live, says Yahuah Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you. What you have in your mind shall never be. When you say, we will be like the Gentiles, like the families in other countries serving wood and stone. As I live, says Yahuah Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. Now, this sentence should make you all rejoice, because as much as we have done, our ancestors have done. Abba says, first he said, return to me. And now he's saying, I will rule over you. With a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. And this chapter goes on to talk about how he's going to reach his hand and gather his people. He's going to bring us into the bond of the covenant. And I've already taught on that topic. But this should make you rejoice, because the Father always reserves and preserves for himself a remnant seed. And I desire to be part of that remnant. And I desire for you to be part of that remnant. But we have to understand the expectations of our Heavenly Father. He does not want our 50%. He does not want our 85%. He wants 100%. Full and total devotion. He deserves it. As for you, O house of Yashar'al, thus saith Yahuah Elohim, go, serve every one of his idols, and hereafter, if you will not obey me, but profane my Kadash name no more with your gifts and with your idols. So it's as if the Father's saying, if you're going to go serve your idols, go ahead and do so. But don't profane my name. Don't pretend that you are worshiping me while you're worshiping your idols. Don't pretend that when you lay your child in the arms of the MOLOCH statue, that you're doing it for me. Don't even pretend. Don't even do it. Don't even think that when you cut down a tree and decorate it and put tinsel on it and bring it in your house, that you're doing that for me. Don't even try to relate to me when you bake cakes for the Queen of Heaven and say, oh, it's really for Abba. Don't even try. Don't even try. Yahuah will not be mocked. According to the case that the Most High has made against us, we're guilty. We're guilty. We thank the Father for Yahushua HaMashiach and for the salvation that comes through his Son, or we would have no hope. None. And now I'm going to read a few verses in the book of 2 Kings. These verses come about as the temple has been completed by our king, our former king, Shaluma, Solomon, and we are now seeing the dedication of the temple to the Most High Yahuah. And Solomon, or Shaluma, is sacrificing many, many animals to the Most High in celebration. And this celebration is taking place during the week of the Feast of Tabernacles. And so it spanned the entire 7 days of Tabernacles and even beyond. Okay? So these are some verses that we see that Shaluma is saying unto the Most High as he is praying, dedicating the temple. He says, when they sin against you, the they is us. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become angry with them and deliver them to the enemy, and they take them captive to the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet when they come to themselves in the land where they were carried captive, and repent, and make supplication to you in the land of those who took them captive, saying, we have sinned and done wrong, we have committed wickedness. And when they return to you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, who led them away captive, and pray to you. And then he again essentially says, please hear their prayers. Okay? So this is what I would like to point out from this passage. Shaluma understood some things. The Father had granted him wisdom. He understood that people sin. He sinned. He understood that when we sin, the Most High punishes us. And he understood that one of those punishments could be captivity in the land of an enemy, far or near. And it is interesting that we are reading this passage as we are currently in a captivity very far from home. And he says, when they come to themselves. Some people would refer to that as the awakening, that when we experience the awakening of our true identity, we come to ourselves. In the land where we were carried away captive. So we're still here. We're still in the land that we were carried away captive, and we have, quote unquote, come to ourselves, and we have repented, and we have made supplication. I think you can all agree to that, that some of us, maybe not all of us, have repented and made supplication while we are here in the land of our captivity. And we have said to the Most High, oh, Father, we have sinned against you and we have done wrong. Our ancestors sinned against you and they did wrong. And we have committed wickedness before you. Our ancestors committed wickedness. Please forgive us. Many of us have done it. Many of us have done it. Day in and day out, we have repented before the Most High. We have made supplication. We have repented in the land of our captivity. But there is something here that we must do. Verse 48. And when they return to you with all their heart and with all their soul, where? In the land of their enemies. Some people think that we give the Father all our heart and all our soul, maybe. And if we do it once we get home. That's not what the text says. The text says, return to you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies. That's now, you all. That's now. When does Abba want all of our heart and all of our soul? Now, while we're in the land of our captivity, while we're in Babylon, while we're in Egypt, while we're still fettered, while we're still spiritually chained or metaphorically chained. That's when he wants us to turn to him with all our hearts and all our souls. Now, this is his expectation of us. We want to be delivered. We want to be saved. We want to be set free. We want all of these things. We've got to do our part. Our part is to acknowledge what we've done, to repent, to make supplication, and to return to Abba with all of our hearts and all of our souls in the land of our enemies. We've got to do it. And he doesn't want 51%. You may say, oh, well, that's a majority. No, he doesn't even want 99%. He wants all of you. All of you. How much are you giving him? How much am I giving him? We all have to ask ourselves that question, because some of you are withholding parts of yourselves. Some of you are withholding your time, your energy, your effort, your money. Some of you are withholding things from the Most High. You're withholding. You're holding it for yourself. Some of you say, well, I need something for me. When I come home after a long day's work, I need to watch a movie. I need to relax, I need to take a bath. I need a bourbon. I need that for me. That's for me. Why can't Abba be that for you? Why can't Abba be the equivalent of a romantic comedy and a beer for you? Why can't he be that? Why can't he be your comfort, your solace? Why can't he be the one that you turn to because you need something sweet? There's a song that says, he's sweet, I know. Why can't it be him? And then this is what he's asking us. Why do we turn to other things? We turn to the weak and beggarly elements of this world, and we don't turn to the fountain of living waters. We have forsaken the fountain of living waters and hewn out for ourselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. How long? How long will we vacillate between two opinions? If Yahuah be Aluah, let us serve him. Let us serve him with everything that we have. Let us turn it all over to him. If he be Aluah. But if he's not Aluah to you, if he's not worthy of all of your heart, then go ahead and be a full-time sinner. But if he is the one that you want, give your whole self, all of you, even the warts, even the part that you think are uncomely, give it all to him. He knows what to do with it. He knows. Stop trying to play one side against the other. He knows what you're doing. He knows. He knows. So make a decision today. Make a decision. If Yahuah is who you want, then give him all of you. All of you. Your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole mind, your whole life, every aspect of it. The Most High Yahuah wanted to be in relationship with our ancestors. He wanted the nation of Yashar'al for himself. He wanted our ancestors to be his own special possession. He never intended to possess part of the hearts of the people back then, and he doesn't intend for it now. And I know that we have lived lives where we have been splintered. We are one way with this person and another way with that person. On this day, we're set apart, and the other day, maybe we're not. But Abba expects for us to be single-minded, single-focused, single-heart desire for him. And then he's going to make us into people that we couldn't ever dream of being. But it all comes and us surrendering to Him, laying ourselves on His altar, and understanding that we need Him and that He is our Father. We belong to Him. We are His. We are His special possession. We don't need anything but Him. It's in the surrendering where the fear comes and where the trepidation comes. It's in the surrendering. But we can even ask Him to help us with that. So your prayer could be, Abba, help me to surrender all. Help me. All to Thee, my Baruched Father. Help me to surrender all to You through Your Son. Help me to surrender all, not parts of myself, all of myself. So as we end for today, and you have opportunity to replay this message in your mind and allow Abba to show you the parts of yourself that you are holding back from Him, surrender it. Ask Abba to help you. If you realize that you take delight in, let me use this as an example. If when you come home from work or a hard day, if you need to have a beer, there's nothing wrong with having a beer. It's not sin. It's in the scriptures. Depending on it is the problem. So you could say, Abba, I don't want to depend on the beer. I want to depend on You. Or say, for instance, you need to be abreast of what's happening in the world. So you're all over social media. You're all over the news, always trying to figure out what's going on. Abba is our source of intel. Perhaps you could say, Abba, help me to only go on social media when You tell me to go. Help me to only research what You tell me to research. This is a part of our surrender. This could be. This is what it could look like. Ultimately, only Abba knows what it's going to look like for you. So surrender all of you and ask Abba to lead and guide you every step of the way, every day. I suspect that the true joy that we are all seeking comes with our total surrender. Halal Yahuah. May Yahuah be praised. May He be esteemed. And may He take total possession of His remnant seed of Yashar'al.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining me once again on the channel and for another teaching. I pray that the Most High Yahuah would baruch and keep you, bless and keep you. I pray that He would make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that He would lift up His countenance upon you and grant you shalom, peace, in every area of life. And I pray that as you fully surrender to the Most High and truly become His own special possession, that the joy and the strength and the power and the might and the majesty and the splendor that is our Ab Yahuah becomes a part of your experience in this world, that you live above circumstances, that all of your needs are met, and that you truly experience the joy of Yahuah as your strength. Shalom, shalom, mashpachah. Shalom, shalom.